Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to go deep, of course, on skeletal muscle. We're going to talk about what's the difference between skeletal muscle and other types of muscle, how we can all become forever strong, how much muscle you have on your body is going to impact all different types of health markers, including sexual health markers, which is a new paper you just got published, which is very exciting.
Be presenting it at the Androgen Society, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's academic.
And I think it's going to just catapult your work into a whole nother stratosphere, which is really saying something. I want to let people know that we're going to go like big and wide and philosophical, and we're going to go very practical in that, you know, you have such a clear message about how we need to be increasing our muscle mass, that we've been solving the wrong problem.
Yeah.
We've been trying to fight obesity instead of trying to build muscle, which I fucking love. Especially looking at this from a POV of a woman, like how many women have been trying to shrink themselves to get smaller, to lose weight, versus like, I'm gonna get big.
You can add to yourself. You can physically add to yourself.
That's right. And then everything gets better, right?
Yeah.
And also I'm gonna talk about something that I've never heard you talk about, but I know that you're a world-class expert on, and that is manifesting. Because I have watched
I've never talked about that.
I know, I'm so excited.
I've never talked about that.
To find out, like, because you've done it. Like, you have planted the prayers and you have brought them into fruition.
We should mention how we know each other. So we've known each other for about 10 years.
Yep.
And how long ago were we in a group together? And there was, what, 4 of us? 5 of us?
Well, 8. The group was called 8.
That's
so there was 8 of us.
It was called 8.
And I've talked about this before. So shout out to Lauren Handel-Zander, founder of the Handel Group, who she created a group of 8 of us, 8 amazing women, big dreams. And it was basically like a manifesting game that we played together. And you and I were often partnered with each other. And I'm curious to hear, because I talk about this a lot, but what was your experience of 8? Like, what was like the game, if you want to explain it?
I mean, it was accountability. It was, we were together being on top of and in touch with our discerning thoughts.
Yeah. And like by 10 a.m., we had to design our day with our big and small dreams and send it to each other by 10 a.m.
That's right.
And then report back before bed. And if you didn't do it, you owed $10 in the morning and $10 at night.
No wonder. I was wondering where all my money went. Yeah.
Well, I think you've made it back many times over.
I figured that out now. Yes, that's exactly what it was.
So we've been friends for over 10 years. And like, so when I say I watched you plant these prayers, it's not just like it wasn't a passive game. Like I would receive like New York Times bestseller, like the leading voice in functional medicine, like the female Mark Hyman. And now you've been on Andrew Huberman, you've been on Mel Robbins, you're in town for Good Morning America, New York Times bestselling author, and like have really developed a whole new genre of medicine, which is muscle-centric medicine. You really defined this idea that muscle is the organ of longevity. And I love, because I know your background, and something I'm also going to brag on you. I know your background, not just in nutritional sciences, but also in geriatrics.
Yep.
Because my mother had a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
I was 6 months pregnant. My mom was going to fly up to see me in New York.
That's right.
She had a heart attack. She couldn't come. I flew home instead. And you, like the freaking angel that you are, got on the phone, got on the Zoom, and basically treated my mom as if she was your only patient. Like gave her a whole diagnosis, whole protocol for supplements. And I don't know that people, like, given how like successful you are and how hard driving you can be perceived, I want people to also see the magnitude and the size of your heart and your generosity. Because I have never forgotten that, and I'm still so grateful.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you did that.
I think one of my superpowers is showing up for people.
Yeah.
Not when it's convenient, especially when it's not.
Yeah.
Just show up, because there are not a ton of moments in time where we really need a teammate.
Yeah. And you really did that. I was really scared. I was pregnant.
Yeah, I remember.
I was, I thought my mom was coming up to celebrate and help me. And then here she is in this really hard time. Yep. And she got a lot better with your care. And I think that you have such a unique coupling. You have 2 fellowships. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, it's a combined fellowship.
Okay. A combined fellowship, but in 2 specialities.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
So talk to us about those.
Nutritional sciences. And actually, in order for me to do a fellowship in nutritional sciences, the way it works in medicine is you have to get funding. You have to be able to work and get funding. And the deal was, for me to further my nutritional sciences, I had to work as a geriatrician. And you know me, I was not interested in the aging population, 65 and up, and also palliative care, end of life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's intense.
Yeah.
If you were to pick a specialty, geriatrics probably would not have been it. It was the most useful experience because we talk about this space of longevity.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do that, you have to face the realities of life.
But what's so brilliant is that you took these seemingly disparate specialities and then you've managed to create messaging that is so laser focused and so translatable to a mainstream audience of like, your book is called Forever Strong. Like, who doesn't want to be forever strong? And so here you are talking about the importance of nutrition, the importance of certainly protein, and then also building skeletal muscle, which, by the way, can you just tell us what is skeletal muscle?
There are 3 types of muscle.
Okay.
And you asked me that question
well,
off camera.
I was like, I'm
I
embarrassed.
don't know if I want to ask that. Skeletal muscle, which makes up 40% of your body weight. And that's the muscle you have voluntary control over. I say, Emily, contract your bicep. And you go, okay. But if I say,
just see it?
Emily.
See a little gun show?
Oh, I see the gun show.
It is not. They're not Gabrielle Lyon buns, but you're getting there.
But for example, the uterus, when you have a baby, that's smooth muscle. That's a muscle that contracts.
Okay.
And then, of course, cardiac muscle, which it's its own tissue. But skeletal muscle is this organ of longevity. It's an organ system.
Yeah.
And it's the largest organ system in the body.
And what I want to bring this back to is this simple idea that the better we feel, the better quality things we manifest.
It's a bidirectional relationship.
Right? It's like better you feel, better relationships you're going to be in, better you're going to perform on tests, better you're going to be at your job as a parent. And so can you help us understand, like, and I know this for myself, like I worked out this morning, had my trainer come over, worked out in the sunshine, was really feeling myself, knew I was going to be interviewing with you. So I was like really pushing myself harder. And those of you who do not follow her on Instagram, you should really do that, because like just following her on Instagram, like you will work out harder in the gym just knowing that you exist. Like mother of 2, author, speaker, and just crushing it at the gym. But when I work out, I feel happier. And when I feel happier, I attract more high quality, I manifest more high quality things into my life. So can you help us understand the science of why building muscle makes you happier?
Well, muscle as this organ system, when you contract it, it releases myokines.
What's a myokine?
Yeah, it's not this passive tissue.
Okay.
You contract skeletal muscle, you're out there in the sunshine, you might be naked, I don't know. But
my trainer might not have been consenting to that. Maybe what? I don't know.
No, that's why you have a line of trainers trying to train Emily Fletcher. But when you contract skeletal muscle, it's not in a silo. You contract it, it releases these molecules that go throughout the body that affect your brain, that helped with neurogenesis. Also, the better your muscle mass is, the better your sexual function. I kind of heard that you're into that thing.
Well, what I'm
into those things.
What I'm into is helping people use their sexual energy to manifest a life and a world that they would love to live in. And if you're not turned on, right? Like if you don't feel that sexual energy, what I call creation energy, then it's harder to manifest. And so can you, like, how does having a stronger skeletal muscle system make you have better sex?
Okay. Well, this is a new paper that we are having published.
And you've never talked about this either.
No.
Right?
I mean, I could even give you the title somewhere around here, but it's the concept of this paper, which will be presented at the Androgen Society, is the relationship between muscle mass and sexual function.
Whoa.
And essentially, the better muscle mass you have, it's an independent biomarker, meaning just alone, the more healthy muscle mass you have, the greater your sexual function.
And this is irrespective of, you're probably going to feel more confident, right? Because you're probably going to be happier with the way that you look.
Of course. And
you're probably going to be happier with the way the other person's looking, but that's just the perception. But you're talking about like
I'm talking about hard science.
Hard science. What's happening in your muscles is impacting erectile health.
Yes. And I just want to share this statistic with you.
Hot off the press.
Yeah, hot off the press.
So if you have ever thought, I am ready for more out of life, more energy, better sleep, deeper human connection, or simply the ability to handle stress like a total boss, then Ziva is for you. So at Ziva, we combine modern science with ancient wisdom to create tools that actually work. Because stress is costing you much more than you realize. It can steal your focus, drain your energy, and keep you from showing up as the human that you know you're meant to be. That's why over 60,000 high performers, CEOs, athletes, parents have turned to Ziva. Our programs don't just teach you skills, they help you master your life. They help you embody your highest potential. So whether you're brand new to this or ready to take your life and your practice to the next level, the best place to start would be Ziva meditation. So in just 15 minutes a day for 15 days, you're gonna learn a practice that will remove stress from your body and transform the way you feel and function every single day. And right now, I'm gonna give you a gift, 15% off, which you can use at checkout by entering the code WHYTHIS. So all you need to do is go to zivameditation.com, find the course that is right for you, because I'm so excited to share these tools with you. I've dedicated my whole life to refining these practices and making them as fun, attractive, and accessible as possible. So go to zivameditation.com and enter the code WHYTHIS on the course that feels right for you, and I will see you inside.
And this is what we were looking at in this paper, which will be presented at the Androgen Society. So the prevalence of severe erectile dysfunction is higher in sarcopenic men, which is low muscle mass and function. It's around 73% versus 43% in one of the studies that we looked at. Basically, in the older population, sexual dysfunction and muscle loss are highly comorbid due to the role of skeletal muscle mass and its role in metabolic health.
So you're saying if I have stronger muscles,
Yes.
I can have a better erection.
Yes.
Amazing.
You nailed it.
This is wild. Like you're going to be filling gyms across the country.
You've solved erectile. And to be fair, it really goes to show the importance of skeletal muscle from metabolic health and its relationship. And when I say metabolic health, it's insulin, glucose, all of the markers that when you go to the doctor, hopefully, they're testing for. People don't think about erectile dysfunction and sexual function and skeletal muscle mass health.
No, we think about it maybe as far as vanity or how confident I'll be, but I've never linked those two things together.
And what about women? Women are not studied nearly to the degree that men have been.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. Like you've done such an amazing job, like bringing women into this conversation around health, around strength, around biohacking. Like, you know, the fact that you're like, it's been a very dude prevalent, like we had a lot of dude science.
It still is bro science.
But you are getting in there and you are changing this conversation, like not just as a woman, but also as a mother. And then also, you know, we're like entering our like mid 40s. So it's a whole new game. And I know that especially given your background of studying like postmenopausal women, this is a big deal. Yeah. And it's also a huge part of the population and a huge part of the decision-making matrix and also the buying population in America right now.
Absolutely.
Of like people who are spending a lot of money in the country. And so I'm just very excited to have you at the helm of like where science is going to go. What are you excited about what's coming next? Like where do you want to take the research?
So this might blow your mind a little bit. I don't think body fat percentage is really an issue.
What?
Yeah.
Talking from a woman who seems to have 0% body fat.
I think that it's very rare that we go back and we examine how we have developed our foundational thinking. What do I mean by this? There has been this deep conversation about if you're 30% body fat, there's an issue with being overweight or obese. And that in and of itself creates all these issues. However, I believe that the location of the fat that we've been looking at is wrong.
What do you mean?
I think that it's intermuscular adipose tissue. It's the fat within skeletal muscle that really drives disease.
Oh, so I feel like I heard you on a podcast talk about if you were to look at the muscles, it would look like marbled, right? Versus like a fillet, like a lean fillet. So talk to me about that. What does that mean?
So the data isn't really ready for prime time, I don't think yet. But I believe that instead of 30% body fat, we're going to be looking at intermuscular adipose tissue.
What's adipose tissue mean?
Fat tissue.
Intermuscular fat.
For example, let's say you see linemen who have higher percentages of body fat, but they have good metabolic profile. They have good erectile function. Why? Because they have low fat in their muscle.
Oh.
And that's where I think that we're going to eventually go.
Okay.
Is we're going to become much more specific and care a lot more about skeletal muscle.
Wow. I really love, because, and we'll just stay on the like 3D physical reality for a moment. And then I want to go a bit more into like how changing your relationship with your body and your ability to shift your body can change your relationship with reality
With
itself.
everything.
But I'm curious about, I want to go back to this concept of, instead of shrinking ourselves and trying to lose weight and trying to fight obesity and trying to get less fat, that we could actually like build ourselves, become stronger, like increase. And it's not just our muscles, but also our skeleton.
Yeah. And you build to yourself.
Say more.
Build more of yourself in this world.
Like you take up more space.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
You build more.
And you do that. Like you take up space in a room when you walk in, when you're on stage, you take up space. When you're mothering, I see you take up space. And it's so beautiful. It's so rare. And it's from this grounded place of service, which is so stunning.
I think that that's the most important. Doing things with the right kind of character and the right intention. Without it, things become very confusing. And I think that, you know, I feel for a lot of the women, I think your audience is probably...
Not exclusively, but predominantly female.
A lot of women. It becomes very challenging to cut through the noise to get information that is going to serve them in a meaningful way.
Yeah, so can we talk about some of that, like some of the things, like I don't hear you talk about cold plunging too much, but there's like working out fasted, like some of this stuff that is starting to come into light that's not so good for women. But can you give us a few just like
I would love
quick
to.
and dirty tips for our lady listeners?
I would love to. Good foundational practices are good foundational practices. As a woman, if you want to fast or not fast, totally up to you.
Okay.
I do not believe over, at least from the evidence that I've seen, that there is something inherently worse for a woman fasting versus a man.
And are you talking about intermittent fasting or any type of fasting, like extended
I think fasted training. I don't think that the evidence is good.
Okay.
I've trained fasted my entire life.
You won't break your fast until after you work out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we have to examine what are the outcomes that we're looking for.
Okay.
One of the myths I hear is that women should not train fasted. Could there be moments where one shouldn't train fasted? Perhaps. Maybe pregnancy, trying to get pregnant. I think that there could be an argument for that. And also this idea that men and women have to train differently. I don't see really good evidence for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then what about
cycle syncing?
Yeah, tell me about you do the same workout
all.
despite where you are in your cycle.
I mean, can you imagine if you were going up for an Olympic gold medal, but you had your period that day?
I was just thinking about that this morning because I was like, I don't really cycle sync with my like work or my workouts.
Why would you?
Well, I mean, you and I are both pretty hard driving. Like we both have a lot of masculine energy.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, if 50% of the population already doesn't train, and now we're going to add in more complexity.
Yeah.
Without great data, I think that's a mistake.
And we do sort of live in a society that's always looking for an excuse or a way to kind of be softer on ourselves or like another reason to scroll through Instagram versus
all
like
distraction.
Just get
it's
up
all distraction.
and get stronger.
It's a distraction. Discernment is something that I think you're very good at. And being discerning with this overwhelming amount of information is critical.
And so what's your discernment? Like what's your decision-making matrix? I mean, you're a scientist and a doctor, so you probably have a better matrix than most of us.
Yes.
But how would you advise someone listening? Because we are in the school of Instagram and everyone's got a different opinion. So like, how would you invite someone to make those decisions for themselves?
That's a much softer way of saying it, to invite someone. As opposed to saying, all right, guys, well, this is what you have to do. What I would say is, one individual, they have to be vetted. If you are an expert, then you've done the work. There's no shortcuts to that. Would you want a surgeon who didn't train in a surgical specialty giving you advice about surgery?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But because nutrition and health is something that affects us all, I believe that there is a lot of what's the best way to say this? I don't want to say false expertise because experience is real. but you have to be truthful about your experience and your credentials.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people like positioning themselves as experts
And
who are
that's
just
not-
getting
and that's
started.
not true.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same in meditation, right?
I
Like,
know.
I mean, my goodness, everybody and their brother is now a meditation teacher. So when I'm like, no, 18 years in, it's like an old lady, like, back in my day, I was the only meditation teacher in the city.
Right. Exactly. And if someone is listening to this and they're desperately wanting good information, you have to ask yourself, was this person trained in what they're talking about? That matters.
Yeah.
If they are talking about nutrition, were they actually trained in nutrition? And there's a lot of skepticism out there with healthcare, rightly so. Western medicine does not do an incredible job at prevention or wellness, nor was it designed to do that.
Yeah.
But it's also asking a lot for physicians to then be trained in nutritional sciences. I mean,
but you've done both, right?
have.
So like you are MD, right? Like you are like
DO,
Western
same thing,
DO,
yes.
but like allopathic,
Yes,
like Western
yes.
medical training, like many times
Yes,
over.
yes.
And you started in functional medicine. And I know just because we roll in these communities, like you're deep in functional medicine, which is more like treating the body like a holistic system, looking at food, looking at obviously nutritional sciences. So I'm curious, like what even does nutritional sciences look like in an allopathic degree? And how is that different from functional medicine?
Yes. To be fair, my undergraduate was in nutritional sciences. And I happened to be lucky enough to train under one of the world-leading experts in protein metabolism. And everything that we hear about protein and why is it important, these discoveries don't just happen, right? They come from long-lasting scientists, from various labs that are able to reproduce science. And I happened to train by one of the world-leading experts. So he trained me. And then I went on to medical school, right? So I did my undergraduate in nutritional sciences. I was always interested in muscle, obviously, and nutrition. In fact, there was a moment where I was going to become a dietitian.
I mean, you kind of have impacted the way that a lot of people eat.
Well, yes, but I chose to go down the path of medicine. And there was just one defining moment. I went to the University of Illinois and there was some tornado warning and we had to go sit in these fallout shelters for 2 hours. And I was like, what am I going to do if there's an emergency? And it was in that moment I decided to go to medical school.
What do you mean? What about the tornado and the emergency? Because you wanted to be of service.
Yeah. What am I going to do? Here's your apple. Oh. No offense to our friend who is a dietitian. I think that that's very valuable. Michelle Shapiro, who's sitting in the room here. But I'm driven by a need to be of service. Yeah. And I think that's really important.
Wow.
So I decided to go to medical school and I went to osteopathic school, which is looking at the whole body, muscular health, everything. It's the same licensing as an MD. Then I did 2 years of psychiatry and then 3 years of family practice and then went back to a fellowship at WashU in St. Louis to study nutritional sciences and geriatrics.
I guess I'm curious because my sort of limited and very woo-woo perception of allopathic medicine is that nutritional sciences is like, here, have some Ensure and, look at the food pyramid, which is different than like what I understand to be functional medicine. So can you give me just a window into what is the allopathic view of nutritional sciences?
The average physician gets about 7 hours of nutrition training.
7 hours. That's one day.
However, why should we be dependent on our physicians to be giving nutritional advice? I don't think it's fair. Think about the rigors of becoming world class, which is what you want your doctor to be. How would it be possible to master nutritional sciences and whatever their medicine of specialty is? I mean, I spent 17 years getting an education. That is a lot to ask of people. Yeah. Whereas I think about my husband who is in his urology residency. He did 4 years of medical school. He'll do another 5 years of training and then a fellowship. So that's 10 years. Wow. And then this idea to then go ask him to also be a nutritional scientist would be insane. It doesn't make sense that we, part of the perception is that our doctor should be giving nutritional advice. I think it's a mistake. We have to be very clear as to who is trained in nutritional sciences and to who is not.
Yeah, thank you for like expanding my lens of perception on that because I I think that the body doesn't work, of like, it's not like urology does not work separately from the heart. The heart doesn't work separately from the bones. Like it is one cohesive system. And I know that that is obviously part of it. But I think that from where I sit, it looks like so many things could be prevented with food. So many things could be prevented with exercise.
Absolutely.
And yet, of course, you want specialists. But what I'm curious about is like in your 17 years of training in nutritional sciences, is there an overlap in that and what you've learned in the functional medicine world?
And let's talk about the functional medicine because I'm sure that's where we met originally.
And through JJ Virgin, shout out to JJ Virgin.
That's insane because I was thinking, is it Mark Hyman that we first met?
I mean, Mark Hyman, JJ Virgin, Lauren Zander. We have so many overlapping communities.
OGs. My godmother, her name is Liz Lipsky, and she's a PhD in nutritional sciences. She was the generation before Mark Hyman in functional medicine.
Wow, that's your godmother.
Yeah.
Wow.
The generation before Mark.
Wow.
And, when I became very interested in nutritional sciences and then functional medicine, which is essentially in its infancy, I would say, there was Mark. And I would go up and train with Mark, go to his clinic, and learn. But that was very different than allopathic medicine, which is really to treat a disease. And functional medicine is really a root cause approach.
And I think that's a helpful delineating for people, just to make it really simple. Like functional medicine is about wellness, prevention, looking at things before they are an issue versus like, okay, I have an issue now and I'm going to treat it with a specialist who has spent 10, 15, 20 years on this thing. That makes sense.
I think the other aspect is there should be evidence-based practices. And evidence-based practices is you're following the science, you're looking at the science, there's good data on things, and then also what the patient wants. And where functional medicine can fall short is we still need the evidence. And if something works, over time, we should be able to prove it works. There has to be a good mechanism of action. It should come from multiple labs. We should be able to say, this works and this is why, just like meditation. There's a lot of neuroscience behind why meditation works.
Speaking of meditation, I'd love to know like what role has meditation played in this level of success, like having 2 kids, being an author, being a speaker, like I know you take your body to the gym, but how do you take your brain to the gym?
I meditate every night.
You do?
I do.
Oh, great. And how has it shifted you? How does it change things for you?
I started with transcendental meditation in my 20s in college.
Amazing.
And then I fell off and I did something called Ziva meditation. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I heard it's awesome. I heard the teacher's super hot.
That's what I heard. I heard she's like, super hot. And that's why it's just transforming people's lives. Lots of young men are totally into it.
I wish, honestly. I've never been that teacher. We got plenty of meditation teachers sleeping with their students. I am not one of them.
Well, you should consider it.
Maybe it would up our revenue.
But I don't know. If I could say, do I know the exact influence that it's had? I don't know. But I think being driven by service and not about, everything I'm doing is not about me. And that makes things very clear for me. And because of that, I think that that's always my guiding light. Yeah. I would love to get better at meditation. I would love to get, be involved deeper because I think it would highlight intuition better for me and I'd probably have more energy.
Well, I mean, the thing I think I'm most famous for saying is that we meditate to get good at life, not to get good at meditation. And I think you're real good at life. And
I'm not really good at meditation, so it's a great trade-off.
But I think it might make this, like the intensity with what you're holding, it might just add more fuel to your fire, right? Like it would give you more energy to execute on this big, big mission that you have.
Yeah, and I think that it would also, I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to double down on it.
I would love to support you in any way that I can. Yeah. You've been such a support to me and to my mom and to the world. So if there's anything I can do to support your meditation practice.
I would love to see if it changes things for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if it will allow me to experience life smoother. Like, so for example, today's 4 interviews.
Yeah.
I'm doing great, right?
You
I'm
are
fine.
doing great. You look great.
But isn't there a way to mitigate the ebbs and flows so it's just always neutral and always steady? I think that's what I would love to get out of it, because I'm traveling a lot.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of moving parts. But I think it would make transitions easier.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I do. And I think specifically with your travel schedule and also being a mom and the level of creativity and output, the level of generating that you're doing, at a minimum, it would eradicate jet lag and allow the plane rides to be restful and generative versus depleting. And then also, if you're not getting as much sleep at night because your kid is sick or they're up early,
I don't get much sleep. And I don't recommend anyone do it. Life the way that I'm doing right now, or always have been.
You have a big mission, and so it's more just like you're going to get these little pockets of rest.
I love that.
Even for like 15 minutes, the equivalent of about an hour and a half nap, because metabolic rate is dropping, heart rate is slowing, body temperature is cooling. So it's like you're getting this supercharged power nap, but without a sleep hangover. And so to your point of like you're in the Uber in between podcasts, great, you drop into a meditation. Oh, you're about to sit down for a writing session and you want to be really plugged into your pure channel. Great, you do the meditation. And I just think at the rate with which you're going, it's amazing, it's inspiring, but I think you're going to add, I mean, talk about longevity, right?
I think it's a great idea.
It's going to give you more longevity for this level of output that you are so inspiringly doing.
Let me ask you about the idea of manifesting and visualization.
Let's go.
Okay. You and I have shared a lot of, I don't want to say secrets, it's not secrets, dreams.
It's dreams.
And when you share dreams, I wonder, is that the way that we manifest? I am going to remind you of what you said about your sexual awakening. You were going to fill stadiums and do sex magic.
Yeah. You want to know my meeting that I had on the train on the way here?
Tell me.
I had a meeting with a man who does logistics for outside of the pyramids. And so my stadium dream, which I've been very public about, I wanted to have 80,000 people climaxing at the same time, holding a shared vision for the species. Since then, my guides, whatever you want to call that, my intuition has shifted and said, let go of the container, let go of the timing. And since then, it's been very clear that it's not Dallas Cowboy Stadium. It's actually 13,000 people at the pyramids in Cairo in Egypt. And so I'm taking a group to Egypt in October to plant the seeds, to plant the prayers. And on my train ride here to meet you, I had a meeting with a guy running logistics who has done big, large scale, tens of thousands of people at events at the pyramids. So those...
Isn't that interesting? So much synchronicity.
Thank you for reminding me that I had those dreams even then.
And that was one of the things that you had shared.
Yeah, and that was brand new. That must have just dropped in.
It was brand new.
Yep. And now I feel like in birthing Ziva Magic, so, it's taking me some time, but I had to get people trained in the modality. You can't just have like 80,000 people show up and not know what to do. So I've spent the last many years kind of refining what is Ziva Magic. How do you teach people to use their sexual energy to manifest? And how do you make it safe for people? How do you get them the muscles that they need to have the great sexual energy?
Kegels.
Kegels, that's right. And so now that Ziva Magic is in the land, it's like this is going to train up a whole army of people to get them ready for these large-scale activations at the sacred sites. So thank you for asking that. So I want to turn the tables on you, and because I've been privy to you manifesting this outrageous life of greatness, and I don't hear you talk about it, but like what is your manifestation practice? We'll start there. And then how do you feel like your physical and specifically muscular health plays a role in your manifestation? Have you ever had a moment where nature just drops the exact message you need exactly when you need it? Maybe it's a reminder to slow down. Maybe it's a fresh perspective on something you've been stuck on, or just the perfect nudge to help you embody your highest self. Well, that is what I want to give you every single week. A dose of Ziva straight from my heart to yours. When you sign up for my emails, you're going to get first access to the downloads that are coming straight into my heart, access to science-backed tools to help you stress less and feel more alive. You're going to get a sneak peek into my personal practice and all the perks that we only share with our Ziva insiders. You're going to get podcast announcement and exclusive offers and invitation to our events before anyone else. And because I love a good thank you gift, if you sign up right now, you're going to get a special welcome gift just for signing up, and it's totally free. It just might be the very best thing you do for yourself today. So you can go to the link in the show notes or go to zivameditation.com/whythis to get a beautiful welcome gift and to receive these transmissions from my heart to yours every single week. So head to zivameditation.com/whythis, and I will see you in your inbox.
How do I think about manifestation? I think that there are things that we are going to be doing. And whether it is insight into the future or it's already happened, I can't tell you. And I think that that's where those ideas come from.
You mean like, are you getting like a postcard from the future that's
Totally.
like, hey, come do this? Or is it the
Yes.
desire in the now that is
No.
planting the future?
No.
You think it's the future giving you a postcard?
I think so.
I write about that in my book where I say it's like the wind when you're in the subway tunnel and you can feel the train before it comes.
Yeah.
It's like the breeze is not you wanting the train to come. The breeze is indicating that the train is coming and pushing the air towards you.
Yeah. And I think that there are things that are meant to happen. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't do all the work. And so when I think about manifesting, I think it's a postcard from the future, which is a great way of explaining it.
So does that mean like when you were sending me your dreams when we were partners and you were like, New York Times bestselling author, bringing this medicine to the masses, like creating this new genre of health.
Yeah.
You think that was your future self being like, hey, come here, come this way?
That's a great question. I don't know, because there are certain things that definitely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
I am so happy to be back doing research and doing things to contribute to scientific body of work beyond educating and podcasting, but being able to publish research. We had another paper published on environmental exposures and bladder cancer for veterans.
Whoa.
And special operations.
Oh, cool.
And in order to be publishing and doing that stuff, typically you're an academic.
And do you not consider yourself an academic?
I'm not a full-time academic. I'm
Not
a
full-time.
full-time academic, right. And so there's a lot of things that I maybe didn't consider.
But I think that's the fun of it, right? It's not like manifesting. I say that God is not a short order cook, right? It's not like I want a double cheeseburger with fries. Here you go. It's like there is artistry to it, and there is a level of surrender, and there's a level. But like you have such extraordinary discipline and commitment and clarity of vision, and I also think clarity of purpose.
Yes.
And that is why I feel like I've seen such alignment and such like the things are. It's almost as if you have scripted them.
I mean, we did pretty well, Emily. I mean, there were very specific details about what was going to be done.
Also, we were just celebrating each other and we saw each other like, we're doing great. We're like mid-40s. We haven't seen each other in a decade. And oftentimes you don't see someone, I'm 46 now. You don't see someone from like 36 to 46. Sometimes you're like, yeesh. It can like, there's like the body, I feel like ages in these big spurts, And I feel like we're both like radiant, strong, vibrant, in our power, like in our dharma.
And that takes time. One of the things that is so fun to think about is medicine is just the modality that I'm using to get to people. It's just the entry point. Is it muscle? Is it protein? All that stuff is important. It's very innovative.
Yeah.
But what we're really doing is we're building stronger, better humans.
Yes.
It is not a luxury to be strong. It's a responsibility. And there's a bi-directional relationship between mental and physical strength. Period. End of story.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. I feel the same way about bliss. It's like people think that mental health is like, oh, I'll get around to that when I have more time. Like meditation's like a bubble bath for my brain. I'm like, you guys, stress is responsible for so many doctor's visits. Stress is like killing us slowly from the inside, like robbing us of our sexual health, our immune function, our brain elasticity, our skin elasticity. And yet people are like, oh, I'm too busy to meditate. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like your brain is printing every single cell in your body. It's making every single decision in your life. What the fuck else are you doing?
I've thought about this quite a bit. We have one word to define the death of a spouse, the breakup, spilling coffee on your white couch, going to the DMV, dealing with a toddler meltdown on an airplane. We have one word, and that's stress. And the thing about humans are really weird, that we hear something and then we believe that to be true. We reiterate it. Stress is one word to define all of these things. We hear that stress is bad and that stress is fight or flight. But that's only one stress response. There are two other major stress responses. Did you know that?
Tell us, teach us.
Courage is another stress response.
Ooh.
And tend and befriend. We get stressed, and the initial reaction is to reach out to connect with another person. Think about moms, parents. Can you imagine if we just went into fight or flight? That bear is taking that kid. And so...
You mean like, so I'm in a stress, my family's in danger, I need to tend and befriend my child. I need to take care of my child. I need to take care of my family.
How do we know that fight or flight is that initial response for you?
There's a storm coming, I'm going to go check on my elderly neighbor.
You probably would mount a courage response. So my husband, former SEAL of a decade, his first response to stress is courage.
Wow.
And I bring this up because what if we redefined the way we interpreted the environment? Can you imagine if we believed everything was stressful? Then we'd be constantly hypervigilant. I think that if we could combine meditation with a new definition of interpreting our surroundings, then we would lower this idea of that we're all so stressed.
Girl, I am having a lot of ideas right now. I'm like, wait, do we need to co-author a book together? Because like, this is it. It's like the mental resilience.
Yeah.
To your point of like, if everything is a potential threat or life-threatening, then you're going to hide, you're going to shrink, you're going to contract. And I think it's a similar, why we're so lit up is like, I want to create emotionally and mentally resilient humans.
Exactly.
Like we need to be resourcing ourselves right now for the intensity of the ever-increasing rate of change that is going to happen on the planet.
Right. And if you were to poll your audience and you said, what is the stress response? How many would say fight or flight?
95% of them.
But that's because that's what we've been taught.
Correct.
That is a narrative that we've been taught. There are two other stress responses that are documented and so much more useful.
I love this. I was just talking to a friend yesterday about when she gets afraid, specifically to have hard conversations, that she now like uses it as fuel. That she's like,
So
I
she's
get
created
excited.
a courage response.
She's created a courage response. And I was like, wait, tell me more. Because this is where I get to be a chicken.
Yeah.
It's like hard conversations.
But that's trainable.
Say more. How do we train ourselves to be courageous?
Well, you put yourself in situations and then you control your breath, which you're the master of. There's space between. So for example, a SEAL who is going for a courage response, the first thing they do is control their physiology through their breath. 4x4 breathing. It's called the tactical breath.
Yeah.
Box breathing.
Yeah, you always associate the box breathing with the SEALs, and it's such a simple tool.
I mean, I don't know what other people associate with, but that's just my community.
Yeah,
and that can create a reinterpretation.
It's so funny because I'm dating now, and I was thinking about this man, and I was like, oh, if he could understand that it's possible to feel your feelings all the way, and on the other side of that is bliss, he wouldn't be afraid of the feelings. And like, how true is that of society, that we're just so afraid of the grief, we're so afraid of the rage, we're so afraid of the pain that we create that like fight or flight fear response. But if we were able to cultivate the courage, which I think goes back also to the gym.
Yes.
Right? Like if every day before 8 a.m., you've already like put yourself into a fight or flight stress reaction and then proven to yourself that you can be courageous.
That is how you train courage. And I think that there's an opportunity to reframe the conversation around stress.
Let's do that right now. Let's do that right now. So if you could wave a magic wand and have 8 billion people wake up tomorrow and have a different relationship with stress, like what would you want them to know?
They would lean in. They would know that they are shaped by adversity. And they would welcome it and not run from it. I think that the greatest disease that we have is not obesity. It's not heart disease. It's not Alzheimer's. It's comfort.
Girl, can you say that one more time for the people in the back?
Yeah. The greatest disease that we have right now is not obesity. It's not heart disease. It's not Alzheimer's. But it is a disease of comfort. We are not designed for lack of challenge. We were designed to be courageous. We were designed to be shaped by adversity. You know, it's not an if, it's a when things go sideways.
Yeah.
And you don't prepare for that when it's happening.
Yep.
You prepare for it in the quiet times.
Yes.
You know, I had a long patient of mine. He's still a patient at the practice. And he was a SEAL for 20 years, breacher, which means he blows things. He's the first guy in, breaks the doors down. And he was home on a deployment from Syria. He was on his motorcycle and he got hit by a car. He was going 5 miles an hour. There was a 17-year-old girl texting and driving, and she took him out. And he lost his leg.
Oof.
And he didn't plan for that, but he was prepared to deal with the aftermath. Because of everything that he had cultivated prior to that.
Yeah.
And while I wish that on no one, I think there is room for us to reevaluate how we see the world and how we talk to ourselves.
Do you seek out adversity, or do you just train as if it's inevitably coming?
No, throw me into the fire.
You're just like,
sign
put
me
me in,
the fuck
coach.
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you know you're prepared. You trust your resilience. You trust your strength.
How are you going to get better? Tell me one thing that you don't practice that you get better at. Maybe sex. I don't know. You probably have to practice that.
Well, there's skills and tools and modalities and healings that make you 100% better at sex.
Great.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'll expect a package in the mail.
Great.
But no, but in all seriousness, I think that this comfort, you know, part of what has happened is we developed this life that we were not evolved for. We have physical sedentary behavior, which further diminishes our body.
It's like WALL-E. I was just watching WALL-E with my son. We're all in the reclining chairs and the screens and our soft bones and our feet. Right. And we're all like little potato bodies.
That's that's where we're going.
I know.
You combine that with technology, but you also then create a culture that is afraid of the idea of stress. So I, you know, as a meditation teacher, I've launched like a 16-year campaign and a war on stress. But the thing is that we're actually so aligned on this because it's not that the stress is bad. It's that I want people to be resilient. I want people to have the ability to adapt, to increase their reservoirs of adaptation energy for the inevitable demands of life. And that's why I say we meditate to get good at life. I don't care what's happening when your eyes are closed. I care how good you are with your kids, how good you are with your partner. And it's the same. Like we go to the gym, not because of how great it is at the gym. Sometimes it sucks on like the last Most
rep.
days it sucks.
But you do it so that you have that strength and resilience in the rest of your day and in the rest of your life.
Totally. And I think that we can reevaluate what we determine as stress.
That's
we
big.
teach our children that it's fight or flight.
Yeah.
We teach the world that it's fight or flight. It is not fight or flight. That's just one. That's like an outdated response. Go ahead. There's two other ones. Why aren't those talked about or cultivated?
So how would you, like, because I think this can be tricky, and I know as a mom this conversation is nuanced, but let's say one of your kids is having fear, right? And they're like really they're in a big upset. Like how would you in that moment get them to move into or see that a courage response is possible?
Well, obviously, I mean, again, I'm not an expert on child rearing, but I do have two.
Asking your personal experience.
And also I have a third. He's a very large man baby. But you co-regulate yourself.
Yep.
And it's okay to be afraid. And then we practice. So for example, I travel a lot with my kids, which is crazy. And I tell myself every time I'm not going to do it. And I came to New York City because I had Good Morning America, but I wanted to, you know, I prefer to travel with them. Yeah. And my son, Leonidas Michael, named after the king of the Spartans.
Yes.
An Aries hunter.
So hot.
Yeah, totally. Wallflowers. And Leo was really scared of the horse, to feed the horse.
Wait, where was the horse?
You know, the horse carriages.
Oh, in Central Park.
Yeah, and he was like terrified. So we practiced.
Beforehand, or you just practiced with the horse?
With him, and it was okay for him to be scared.
Yeah.
And then let him calm down. I'm like, okay, let's just try this again.
Yeah. So this is a really important point, is that the fact that you're like letting him be scared, letting him feel the feeling, you're co-regulating, and then do it again. Because I think when a lot of people hear that, like, this is a courage response, what I would hate for people to take away is like, just button up, just buck up, like, just do it. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
And that doesn't address anything.
No, it just makes people repressed. And that's we're dealing with like a lot of suffering as a result of that. So thank you for, 1, knowing how to regulate yourself. 2, letting him know it's okay to feel his feelings. And then 3, giving him the modeling that he can practice.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need, right? Just the ability to feel our feelings in a couple more rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also clear that we're born with various attributes that, and Rich Diviney talks a lot about this. I don't know if you know Rich, but we're born with various attributes. Some of us have more grit and resilience than others, but you can cultivate these things.
Yeah.
And it's understanding where you are strong and where your weaknesses are. Weaknesses are not negative, you know?
Yeah.
Because they create this full person.
I have a tendency to have like a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Like, I love being the best. I love being straight A's. I love getting the gold star.
So does my daughter.
You strike me as someone with a growth mindset. You're like, show me the weakness and I'm going to get better.
Yeah, but I wasn't always that way.
You cultivated that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, like, I look at my daughter, 5, she's really good at everything. Life is going to be hard for her because you have to be able to not be good and fail.
Life was really good for me for a really long time. Like, life's been amazing for me, and I was really good at a lot of things.
But did you feel bad when you had to work hard at it?
No, like, I also like working, but I feel like I had a natural proclivity to a lot of things, but I would gravitate to the things that I was naturally good at. But it wasn't really until like last July that I got like my first real death portal, where I was just like, oh boy.
Oh my God, what happened?
I broke up with my partner. I moved. I left my roommate. I left New York City. My dog died. My mom got sick. My son got sick. My number one stream of revenue as Ziva went to zero. Like, it was just like dead. It was just like shedding. But up until 46, like, I had a pretty great run. Pretty easy life.
I mean, so that's lucky. You know what I mean?
Or an extraordinary. I mean, like, I've also cultivated that luck. Like, I've done 18 years of the inner resilience work and like lots of planting the prayers. Yeah. So it's not that I don't work. It's just that I would tend towards the things that I like doing versus like going after the weaknesses. Does that make sense? And an extraordinary amount of good fortune. And now I feel like I've just faced my shadow in a new way and like found a new level of resilience. And it's like, now I've been through the death portal, and it's like the rebirth is so much sweeter. Like, the spring is so amazing after the winter.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm having my first spring.
And it kind of like sucks when you're going through it.
Yeah, it does.
No doubt. And any entrepreneur out there will tell you that.
Yeah.
But we're designed for that.
Thank you. Thanks. So I want to know if there's anything that you wish that I had asked you, like anything you're like dying to talk about, anything you think is next that maybe the world's not quite ready for, but that's on the cusp.
I mean, I don't know. I think that we're at a real opportunity to change culturally in a way that we've never been able to change before. And we have more access to information, and people have a choice. They have a choice of consciousness and discernment, and that's big. And they have that in medicine, and they have that in life. And that's what I think that it's going to come down to. The better you are with discernment, the better you're going to do, just in your own life, in the world.
Amen. And since the show is called Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? Why isn't everyone building muscle for longevity? Why aren't we doing this?
Comfort.
Yep.
Comfort kills, man.
Should make a t-shirt. Should be your next line.
If I could find a clean one in my house. But yeah.
Comfort
kills. And we're always searching for that. You know, I think about the patients. I still see patients. And, you know, the patients that get better are the ones that are able to stop running from the things that make them uncomfortable. Because that's what turns them to bad behaviors or food or drugs or alcohol.
It's the numbing. And that happens internally and externally.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, And Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, I am quite sure that people are fascinated by you. I'm quite sure they're going to want to learn more about you. So besides your amazing New York Times bestselling book, Forever Strong, where else can people find you?
On Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I have a podcast.
What's your handle on Instagram?
Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
We'll link it below.
Okay, great. I'll have my YouTube, which is great, educational.
Yep.
Newsletter.
And you have your podcast?
The podcast, yes. It's
What's it called?
The Dr. Gabrielle Lyon Show.
Perfect.
So easy to find.
If you ever wanted one meditation or sexual health, call me.
There you go. And yeah, we have a great active practice. So I still see patients. We have nutritionists. We have a whole team.
Amazing.
And a great newsletter. Tons of free information. All kinds of useful stuff.
You are really just crushing it, like in every area of life. I'm so proud of you. I'm so inspired by you. And I'm so grateful for the legacy that you're just starting. Like I'm like fast forwarding now to like your eulogy and like just feeling into the ripples of impact that have happened on the planet as a result of your brilliance, your tenacity, your resilience, and the enormity of your heart and the enormity of your generosity. So thank you. Truly, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Emily.
I love you. Oh, sweet friends, I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you have learned something, if you didn't even know what skeletal muscle was before this, like me, if you had an aha about how you changing your body could change your relationship with reality, if you have learned about how your muscular health could change your sexual health, anything, just take a screenshot of this, let us know, tag us on Instagram. I'm at Ziva Meditation. She's acted at Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. Let us know what you learned. Leave a comment, leave a review. This is how we share this media as medicine. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I will see you next week on Why Isn't Everyone Doing This?